In the last paragraph of your book, Expository Exaltation, you write this: as I look back over 4 decades of preaching, I bear witness that it has been worth every effort and every cost. Talk to us about the effort and cost of preaching, and tell us why a lifetime of preaching was worth it.
Both of those could fill up an hour, the cost and the worth of a life of preaching. And I wouldn't change anything in that paragraph that you just read. The cost is that my Saturdays didn't look like other people's Saturdays. The pastor has the freedom to take afternoons off during the week, and his weekends look different than other people's. So I attended every soccer game, but they were on Thursdays at 3:00 when most guys are working hard and they can't go. I'm often the only pastor there. So there are benefits from having a flexible schedule, but your weekends, beautiful day outside, everybody's playing, and I'm struggling with getting a word from God for my people tomorrow morning. And that was hard. And trying to understand text that you don't understand. And knowing that the devil hates what you do, and he's going to physically, emotionally, and verbally try to wreck your life. So that the price was really quite high, emotionally high, time-wise it was high, family it was high, and I'd do it all again and do it pretty much the same way. The benefits are, you can think of the benefits in terms of the pleasures of doing what you're made to do and the fruit that you've seen. And the pleasures are that, like Eric Little said, I feel God's pleasure when I run. I feel God's pleasure when I preach. I really do. I feel like I'm in my element as no other time. Some people have asked me, are you a writer who preaches or a preacher who writes? And I say, what do you think? And I think everybody I've ever asked that says, you're a preacher who writes. And I said, I think that's probably right, which gives you pause about stopping at 67, right? Because the complexity of the church was so big. So that's one. And then the fruit. I mean, people wonder, why do you bother lining up and letting those people take pictures with you down there? And the answer is because they tell me stories. They tell me stories with tears in their eyes. You know, I want to write home to people who don't like my ministry. And I want to say, would you stand with me once? Would you just please stand with me once? This guy right here is taking pictures of all this. With tears in their eyes, they're telling me how their lives were changed. Or almost every time somebody tells me I got saved. I had a guy walk up to me and take my hand a couple of days ago in Washington, D.C., and he said, John 6, 37, 19, whatever, in my dorm room, instantaneously saved, listening to your preaching. Now that's God's work, and I would just say, as I have seen people get saved through the Word of God, and I have seen moms born with disabled children who will never leave their lives the same again because they will never be independent, kept, this is their language, kept from going insane because of what you, Pastor, have taught us in your preaching about the sovereignty of God. That's worth a lifetime. I mean, that's worth as many weekends as you can think of. And those two have been huge for me. People walking out of darkness into light so that you know they have everlasting joy, and people who've been sustained in the worst kinds of providences.